Morning. Sorry. Good morning. Welcome to Q and Amaco. I'm Kara. And if you are new to Q and Amaco, this is just a casual stream where I answer questions as they come in. Let me switch over so I can see my chat. So I'm going to be glazing. I'm doing a Peacock bowl, which I started 2 weeks ago. Not touched since then. I have C42 Saguaro, which is one of our new Celadon glazes. It's a pale green. And I'm going to do the outside here. And this is how I glaze the outsides of pieces. So I have my soft fan brush. So if you have questions for me today about Amaco glazes, about other Amaco products, about clay in general, please go ahead and drop that in the chat and I will answer it. If you have questions about what I'm glazing, what I'm doing, you can do that too. Sorry, I can't go down to show you what I'm doing. I'll switch to an overhead view. It's hard for me to see the other side. Normally I would get up and look at it or have it on a turntable, but it's hard to do that when I'm doing this live, so without getting my head in the picture. So do have some new glazes coming out. Oh, I've got a couple questions. Hang on. So Bonamichelle asks, do you know what glazes will work on aardvark obsidian clay? And I don't know specifically. I have not used aardvark obsidian myself, but in my experiences with dark clay bodies, some of our favorites are the HF 165 Scarlet Red, PC 25 Textured Turquoise, and PC 17 Honey Flux, as well as any of the other PC Flux glazes, are all great choices on black clay. I'm going to start on coat number 2 for the outside here. Let's see. Favinola says, hello from Belgium. It's evening there. Yes, it should be. Patty Duncan, good morning. And Jen Brown says, oh, I have a question. Do you know why satin matte black would keep firing blue? So Jen, we did have a stain issue a couple of years ago with the satin matte black. It's possible that you have a batch from then, and I would contact tech support. The other possibility is if it is being applied too thin or fired too hot. So you can do some tests to see if you can get it black with another coat or slightly cooler firing. But contact our tech support team and give them the batch code of your satin matte, because my experience is that our satin matte black lately is coming out black. But if it is coming out blue, I do not know. Are very welcome, Jen. And Bonamichelle, both. Say thanks. Favinola says, is there a difference in the result if you use wax resist, liquid wax, or shellac? And my experience is no, they all work about the same. And Bonamichelle asks, any recourse if a bisque fix that I purchased during the pandemic was hard and my supplier would not replace it for me? Uh, Sadly, that is a situation that I think our tech support would simply tell you to contact the distributor. You can contact our tech support team. Bisque fix does need to be kept from freezing. It also needs to be kept tightly sealed, and one of the tricks that we use for keeping it workable is to pour, after we've used it, to pour a little bit of water, just enough to cover, on top, and then seal it up without shaking it. You don't want to add water to the bisque fix, but the water acts like a seal and keeps oxygen from reaching the bisque fix. So that is one of the things that we suggest if you're wanting to keep your bisque fix from getting hard. But if it was already hard when you bought it, if you didn't open it, didn't check it in that time, that would be rather difficult, I think, to discuss with your supplier. But that is an issue to take up with your supplier. And we do not have a way of reinvigorating bisque fix. Once it has hardened, it's hard. So and I don't know why it would be hard on opening, because it is sealed and should not be hard when you open it. But you can contact our tech support team and ask if they have any suggestions for dealing with the distributor. So there's my 3 coats. Now I already, if you saw this 2 weeks ago, I already had 3 coats of the saguaro on the inside, so I don't need to add more. I'm going to let the outside dry a little bit before I start doing the peacock glazing on the inside. And while that is drying, I did not finish these from last week. These are the Cosmos Dark Star, which some of you have already, Favinola says liquid latex, I meant. Going back to the Dark Star, some of you have already started using Dark Star and some of the other Cosmos glazes. I've seen some of those results. They look fantastic. I'm so glad that people are enjoying it. So I already have 2 coats of Dark Star on here, so I'm going to apply 2 more coats. So it does best with 4. And I'm tapering off as I get to the bottom. It just has 1 coat at the very bottom, because these glazes are very fluid and will run, and I don't really want this one to run all the way off. Favinola, let's see, you said liquid latex. The one thing about liquid latex as opposed to shellac or liquid wax or other kinds of wax resist, either the kind that you have to heat or the kind that is liquid in the jar, liquid latex needs to be removed before firing. Absolutely remove it before firing. Okay, so that's coat number 3 on that one. Make sure my hands are clean. Always remove the liquid latex. It is very, very messy and extremely stinky if you fire it, and it is not meant to go into the kiln. It's just meant to be a resist for while you're using the raw glaze, but absolutely remove it. So that's the only difference. As far as results, I don't know of any particular results. All of those materials burn out long before the glazes melt, so none of them are going to keep runny glazes from running. They are all just for keeping your decoration in place while the glaze is being applied. Erin says your overhead camera isn't showing the right view for me. I think I'm not far enough forward is the problem. Huh, no, it's frozen. That's the problem. Okay, let me check and see with my... Well, okay. My overhead camera is frozen, so I'm just going to switch to a selfie camera today because I don't know what's going on with my overhead. And I'll try to describe as best as I can what I'm doing. So I've got the third coat on these vases. Sorry about that. There we go. So I'll set those aside. Make sure I have my lid. I always try to keep my lid right next to my jar of glaze so that I don't mix up which glaze I'm using and get the wrong lid on and then contaminate my glaze. So surface, and I'm going to switch over to doing the Peacock glazing on this bowl. Sorry about the image issue. So I have 2 runny glazes that I'm going to put on top of the Celadon to make my dots and feathery U's for my Peacock glazing. I have Ancient Jasper PC53. I think I'm going to use that for the U's. And then I have Seaweed PC42 for my dots. And I do have to apply these thick, so I'm going to do them. I'm going to do several coats. So, oh, sorry about that. So it might be hard to see, but I'm going to do a dot here and then do a dot directly across from it so that I can have these evenly spaced. Sometimes I just go around and make the dots, but I thought it'd be better if I could get these all very even. And they're not perfect because I'm just going to eyeball it. But they are very close. So. As I said, I'm going to make sure to go back and do multiple coats of the seaweed to get it thick enough both to run and to show some really strong color. And yes, I know it's, so Bona Michelle says, can you tell me if you have a layer of glaze under the dots? And yes, so I have 3 coats of C42 Saguaro on the whole thing on the inside. I glazed the inside 2 weeks ago. So it's nice and dry. I can put glaze on top and not worry about making a mess. And I'm just putting the dots on the dry glaze. But I just glazed the outside, so I'm not going to touch the outside right yet because I don't want to smear that. And while the seaweed is drying, I'm I'm going to start applying. This one's stuck. I'm going to start applying the hues of ancient jasper. You guys might have noticed just then I took my glaze off screen so I could open it. And what I did is I dipped the jar upside down in my water, which is a little on the warm side. And that water got into the lid threads and loosened it up just enough where I could open it. So now I'm going to do the hues with the ancient jasper. And this glaze is on the thick side. So other things that come up from time to time, I know that sometimes you all might hear me talk about where to glaze, and I warn against glazing in your kitchen or dining room or any place else that you might eat or prepare food. And the reason for this is that some glaze ingredients are not healthy. You know, art supplies in general have a lot of things in them that are not particularly healthy. Don't want to be ingesting them. So I do highly recommend that you not do your glazing. I'm not worried about clay work exactly, because clay itself generally, unless you're breathing the dry dust, clay is pretty benign. But glaze has other things in it. So I always suggest not glazing where you eat or prepare food. And do not eat while you are glazing. In much more exciting news and things to discuss, we have new glazes coming out all the time. Some of you may have seen information about the DL glazes. That is the dipping and layering glazes. I know a lot of people were very, very sad when we discontinued our Potter's Choice dipping glazes last year. And we did so because there were issues with, not with the glazes themselves, which are they were the same as the brushing glazes, but without the gums that help them brush easily, but also help keep them stuck to the wear when you're layering. So it was very, very difficult to layer with the Potter's Choice dipping glazes, which was disappointing because that's what a lot of people wanted to do with them. So we discontinued the dipping glazes and worked on finding ways to bring you dipping glazes that could be layered and still get you those same beautiful results. So we have developed the DL glazes, dipping and layering glazes. They are 8 new colors that are based on existing PC glazes. except one, which is a new glaze. And the DL glazes are very, very simple to use. You receive a box with a bag of dry material. So you supply your own bucket. And this also makes it easier to transport, takes up less room until you are ready to mix it, and there's less waste involved. So if you already have a bucket, you're not getting more and more buckets. And it takes 1 gallon of distilled water to mix 1¼ gallons of glaze. So you just get 1 gallon of distilled water and your box of DL glaze. Mix it well, let it rest overnight, mix it again, and dip. And they can be layered with the other DL glazes. They can also be layered with the PC brushing glazes. So if you want to use them as a base for brushing, they work really well for that. So I hope you guys will try those out. I hope they work for what you want to use them for. Okay, so there's my U's and dots, my first U's and dots. I'm going to put more dots on since my dots are starting to get dry. And I think I'm going to do another row of dots. And then we're just going to have 7 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. Marie says, when will these glazes come out? The DL glazes, when will they come out? They are packaged and ready to ship right now. So if you are interested, please tell your favorite distributor that you want them, and they can order them right now. I think they're really great. I really hope that you guys like them too. So for everybody who's been sad about not having the dipping glazes anymore, hopefully this will help with that. Pretty sure that some of our distributors have already placed the orders. But ask your favorite distributor. They have ordered them, when they expect to get them. They should have them soon. Okay, I'm going to do another row of dots, and I think then that we will be about at the end of our half hour. I do have one other bit of news for you all. This is going to be our last live stream of the year. And we will be back in 2024. Some updates, try some different things. When I get this out of the kiln, this bowl out of the kiln, I will be sharing it with you all. Thank you, Favinola. Happy holidays. Bona Michelle asks, do you have any idea why I might be seeing a yellow residue on my fired bisqueware? Possibly problematic. I have not been using distilled water. So that is usually a result of solubles. And it could be solubles in your water. It could be solubles in your glaze if you are seeing it on your glazeware. But very frequently, I do see it when I wash bisqueware before firing. I don't always wash my bisqueware. Generally, I do not. I use just a damp sponge. But on occasion, like yesterday, I did a piece that had a lot of carving and there was a lot of dust on it from cleaning it up before firing. And I really was not getting enough off with a wet sponge, so I used I rinsed and scrubbed the bisqueware, and yes, it does get a yellow hue, and that can be from soluble materials in your water. So it can be things like salt that dissolve in water that are present in your water. Sometimes you'll see that a ring, pardon me, you'll see a ring around your glazed area. It can also be solubles in glaze. Either way, generally it fires out. So I don't usually worry about it when I see that yellowing happen on bisqueware. But if you're seeing that, just glaze as normal and see if it still shows up. Most of the time it will disappear. Sometimes you'll see a slight like brown halo around your glazed area where the solubles are still in the clay. Bona Michelle says, yes, newer practice of washing my bisqueware. That would do it. If you choose, you can simply use a wet sponge and you won't get so much yellow. And if it disappears when you're glazing, then I wouldn't worry about it at all. It's fine. It's not going to harm anything. I personally like the halo of solubles in some glazes where you get like a halo around the glazed area. So for me, I kind of like it. Not everybody likes it, but that's what it is it's solubles in your clay or in your water. It can be both. So that mystery solved. Happy holidays, Marie, and I do hope to stay well, safe, and joyful through this end of the year, and I hope you all do too. So I know that a lot of people are frantically glazing before the holidays, and I wish you all well. Have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you, Christina. I'm glad that you're enjoying the morning and that you find my voice relaxing. And happy holidays, happy glazing, and be well. We'll see you in the new year.